Despite his base in New Zealand's southernmost city, Invercargill's Robbie Baxter is one of the better known members of the dealer community. Baxter purchased Cedar Motor Court, today known as Robbie Baxter Autos, in 1988, at the start of the rise of the import market. Today it claims to be one of the few Southland dealerships that still travel to Japan to buy its own stock. Instead of sticking to just one source, in 2004 Baxter added a Hyundai franchise, which has continued to grow and with developments over the years has seen the development of a new workshop facility and a redeveloped dealership to meet Hyundai's CI standards. So, in an age when most dealers are importing their stock online or through wholesalers, why do you think it's important to still go up to Japan and buy your own cars?
Well, probably one of the first things, old habits die hard. It's just how I've done it all these years, how I just feel comfortable doing it that way. Like to feel, touch, see what I buy.
What are the main advantages? I mean, do you think you're saving money? Do you think you're getting better quality?
No, it's not about money. I think it's more about quality than money. In some ways, I actually, it's part of what I do now. I think if I stopped going, I'd miss it.
How many times a year are you going, and are there any particular options or parts of Japan you like to focus on?
Well, the last few years it's probably only been 4, maybe 5 times a year, but for 15 years I went 6 times a year without fail, so made a few trips now. You
must have built up some pretty good relationships up there in that time.
Yeah, well, probably not so many really in recent years, or when I say recent years, for the last 24 years, I've only dealt with one smaller exporter or agent who's based in Toyota, just out in Nagoya.
Fantastic. It must be quite a challenge getting all the way from Invercargill up to Japan. You must spend an awful lot of time in airports.
Yeah, we seem to spend about twice as much time getting there as back as the people in Auckland do. Yeah.
Is there a particular type of car or a particular type of stock that Southern buyers like and appreciate?
Yeah, probably it's pretty much across the board, but there is probably a market there for a wee bit, something that's just up one level up above the base models, sort of that get into that $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 bracket.
Is that again for the quality, or they're able to spend a little more down here?
I think it's probably just more the market, but it's in an area which is a wee bit harder to buy too, of course.
You say that they like this slightly higher level of vehicle down here. At the same time, we've seen over the last few years, a lot of the lower end market coming through, big volumes of fairly old imports.
Yeah.
I mean, do those cars do as well down here, or are they easy to compete with here perhaps than the rest of the country?
Well, I tend to try and stay away from anything over sort of 85, 90 Ks, which makes that buying it a wee bit harder up in Japan. Yeah, we don't have, once they get over 100 Ks, we don't seem to have the same success they must have up country when you see the number of high K cars advertised.
You're a particularly well-known member of the Imported Motor Vehicle Industry Association, or VIA as it's now called, and it's probably been a few names in your time with it. You're a past board member. I mean, how important and helpful do you think their work is to the trade? I mean, how enthusiastic are you for them to continue?
Well, I was sort of what you'd probably call a foundation member when we paid her $5,000 up front to get the thing going. I've always felt without the Importers Association, as I call it, there'd be no industry. In those early days it was fight after fight after fight just to, in fact it's probably one of the reasons I never really did anything about learning Japanese, was the fact that in those early days every trip could be the last trip.
Are there any particular stumbling blocks you see to the import market coming up? I mean, we've got ESC on everything coming in 2020. How do you think, big of a challenge do you think that will be for the market?
Quite big, yeah. I haven't worried about looking at how many cars under the 2 litres have ESC because it's not an issue yet. But even some of the ones over 2 litre, it's surprising how many you thought you should be able to buy that you can't.
Even with your higher level, your higher value cars are still going to be a little bit of a challenge on that smaller end.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But then again, 2 years, things change pretty quickly. When it's in a whole new sort of, the difference between 08 and 2010 cars is quite a change.
Did you have any impact from the shift on the 2 litre vehicles and the 4-wheel drives to your range? I imagine 4-wheel drives have a bit of a market down.
Well, it probably meant there's quite a few of the 4-wheel drive SUVs we couldn't buy. Yeah.
You've been a new car dealer for nearly 15 years now. What do you see as kind of the key differences between being a new dealer and a used dealer, and how you have to operate?
Good one. New cars are probably 30% of our business, and they probably take 70% of our time. It's very time consuming compared to used cars.
But coordinating, from a corresponding side, is there money to be made in that side of the market, do you feel?
Well, this discounting, as we all know in new cars, is rife. You start off with what you consider a reasonable margin, end up with little. The new cars have become a bit more like used cars. I think they're again at the stage where it's more a volume business than a something like we have down here in Invercargill, where we've got pretty limited volume availability.
Having that small volume down here, I mean, do you feel that reduces the need to discount in a market like this, or is it still fairly competitive?
No, all the brands are discounting, so it's just where the market is nowadays. I can't really see much change in that.
When you said, though, we've seen Twitter recently going to its fixed price system, do you feel that's going to have any impact on the overall market as to how brands have to market themselves and dealers?
Well, it's not affecting pricing, so all they're doing is selling the cars at the price they were before anyway. It's fixed. There is probably is a place for fixed margin, but then again, you get fixed margin and everyone's got to stick to it. When you've got a discount mentality, it's pretty hard to get people to stick to it.
The level of service the new car customers are used to, I mean, how different is that to a used car buyer, and how difficult was it to adapt to that when you picked up the new car franchise?
Well, we didn't actually operate a service department or public service department before we had the franchise, so putting the franchise on board made a big difference to that. We go from one guy doing our own stuff in the shed down below to having a 3-man workshop, so it was quite a change there. How
well is the Hyundai brand received in Invercargill and Southland?
Oh, it's received well. It's a quality vehicle, and generally the people that we're dealing with accept that.
And they're pretty strong in SUVs. That must be a fairly big thing down here as well.
Well, farming related things probably account for about 70% of our new sales. So, and a big part of that is SUVs. Yeah.
Would it be nice if they had a ute in their range?
Well, that probably accounts for why Photon's here nowadays. No, if Hyundai had a ute, we probably certainly wouldn't have had Photon here, but there was a gap. Utes account for, well, there's nearly one ute sold for every passenger car down here.
And how is Photon working out for you?
It's good. We had our moments in the early days, but now it's all come around. It's good now, and we're finding they're getting received quite well by the public.
Some moments you're talking in regards to quality?
Oh, early days we had our moments, yeah.
Do you see? I mean, like you got on a reasonably early basis, I guess, with Hyundai, and that's gone very well. I mean, do you see a future for those Chinese brands like Photon in New Zealand? Do you think that they can come to be big players in the New Zealand market?
They're going to be a long time before they can match the Hyundai or the Japanese brands as far as quality goes, I think. Yeah. Their advantage at the moment is price, but then again, when we first took Hyundai and we sold them on price too, but that's changed a lot.
What kind of buyers are picking up those Photons down here? Are they farmers, or are they apprentices, or is it?
No, initially we were quite surprised. There was actually quite a lot of private sales, people just buying them for a private vehicle. But apart from that, now it's probably a bit of a mixture of trades and farmers.
We're not far down here from an awful lot of electricity generation, and we've got the aluminium smelter on the other side of town, which has a bit of a questionable future.
Yes, definitely.
Which will have impacts on Invercargill at some point in the near future. But of course, it does make if that is to go, it does make an awful lot of electricity available. What's the interest been, do you feel, in electric vehicles? And Hyundai has a big presence in the electric vehicle market with the Ioniq, down in Southland and down in more rural parts of the country.
Surprised to say that we've only sold one Ioniq, and that's down at the smelter. It's a bit slow. We haven't got any infrastructure, and it's a bit hard to convince people they should drive an electric car when you haven't got the infrastructure to operate it. Like for the Ioniq, Queenstown is virtually outside its range. We've got the Kona coming in a couple of months' time. That's going to be interesting with its 400k range, which means you don't really need the same infrastructure. People can charge at home again before they do the next day, but we haven't worried about it too much at this stage.
What do you think the history of the smelter is likely to be, and what kind of impact do you think that'll have on the Southland economy if it was to go?
Well, it'd have a big impact. There's probably 1,000 full-time employees there. There could be another 2,000 or 3,000 which are reliant on it. But then again, if they haven't got the smelter, they might as well shut down West Arm, and there's no lines to send the power north.
A couple of years ago, you had a few headlines around the place in regards to one of your sub-brands for your dealerships, Cars Too Cheap, and there was controversy between Cars Too Cheap and Too Cheap Cars, giving you guys a bit of a push for using the name. Was it purely coincidence that you had that name, or was it a little bit of a niggle from you towards that Too Cheap and their activities?
It wasn't quite the same. Probably a little bit of tongue-in-cheek stuff went on, but I think they realised that really it was Cars Too Cheap was a bit different to Too Cheap Cars.
And you've no longer used that brand? Why is that?
No, it's there's still a wee bit of signage around, but we haven't been promoting the brand for a couple of years now.
What is the state of the Invercargill and broader Southland economy like these days?
You want me to want a blunt answer?
Yeah.
It's crap. We've got no growth. Like I remember when I was younger, Invercargill and Hamilton were the same size. Now Invercargill's still the same size and Hamilton's 4 times its size. So growth is our problem.
What needs to be done to facilitate further growth?
I don't know, to be honest. Industry, if we have industry, you've got to cart stuff down and cart it away again. Farming's up and down all the time. It's good when it's up. Seems to be down more than it's up. Then we get things going on at the moment, like with the dairy farming. It's just a lot of the time it's just a lack of confidence, I think.
You've got this economic powerhouse here, 2 hours north of you here.
Yeah.
I mean, what can Invercargill and Southland do to get access to some of that growth? And also at the same time, have you thought of putting business into there as well? You know, Robbie Baxter Autos, Queenstown.
Probably Scott Willman wouldn't like me doing that. No, Queenstown's just it's its own entity now. It's big enough to look after itself. From Queenstown itself, there's a lot of builders now working in Queenstown, tradespeople. But we probably can't get any of the tourism down here. We bring them down here, we can send them to Stewart Island. That's about all we've got. They get a few of them drive around the Catlins, but they rush into Queenstown, rush to Milford, back to Queenstown and way north again. It's pretty hard for us from here to really get much out of that.
Okay, so if electric cars don't necessarily work down here, we've got all this technology coming through in regards to autonomous and self-driving cars. Are you expecting to have a self-driving car running through the middle of Invercargill any time in the near future?
No, the electric cars will work down here. It's just a matter of getting to that stage. Autonomous cars, yeah, it's going to happen. Maybe not as soon as someone would like to think, but it will happen. There's no doubt about that.
You did a trip up to San Francisco a few years ago with Hyundai. Can you tell us what you saw there?
Yeah, we went to Google and Facebook and spent a whole week there, and it was quite interesting. At Google, they were talking about autonomous cars there. And this is probably maybe 4 years ago, and everyone's sort of like, oh yeah, this is what they're going on about. But it's amazing just how far it's come, and then you start to realise, well, it is actually going to happen. It just seemed like pipe dream stuff.
You've been in the business over 30 years now. Any thoughts as to what your future is and how much longer you intend to be here selling cars?
You should ask my wife that question.
She eyeing up a nice place in Queenstown, is she?
Well, she should be up there tomorrow. I suppose I get to my stage, I've got to think about getting out. Might be somebody watching who thinks, oh, that place might do me. But you can't do it forever.
Yeah. But it is an addictive trade, isn't it? It's the kind of thing that you want to do for a long time.
Yeah, I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I still wouldn't be here. It's like, talk about going to Japan still. I don't need to do it. I can buy cars online. I can do everything online, really, but it's just something I've done all those years. If I stopped going, I'd really miss it. Yeah,
fantastic. Look, thank you so much for being with us today. That's been fantastic. You're one of the great industry characters, I think.
No problem, Richard.
Brilliant.